Hello YouTube land and welcome to Force In Unison Live! Right here at the Force In Unison Gaming channel. Tonight we're gonna talk about State of Decay. Metacritic score, Caliones. Tonight we're gonna talk about Call of Duty reveal. Tonight we're gonna basically bury the PS Vita. But the best part of it all is we're gonna have some fun. And joining me, like always, Caliones. How you doing, Caliones?
Hey, how you doing, Dantes? How you doing, everybody? And yes, yesterday we had a pretty, I guess, kind of like an uneven getting and get out. We're talking about certain rumors, certain things, but there wasn't a big amount of news. I feel like this Force Unison does have more news going on, and pretty interesting one, like you said, talking about a certain game's Metacritic score and how the way that they released it could have affected it, and others along the way. So everything from Sony, and giving some props to Microsoft, especially with the first piece of news that we have. So Dantes, go ahead and take it away.
Okay, let's do that sweet-ass rigmarole and start the show. I want to welcome everybody to Force In Unison Live, episode 29, right here at the Force In Unison Gaming channel. Please remember to subscribe, like, and comment so you can make these two crazy MFs happy. Also, remember, we do have a Nintendo podcast called the Get In and Get Out Nintendo Podcast that you can get on SoundCloud and iTunes for free. Rate us over there so you can show up some love. Also, go to the description box below so you can see the full channel schedule. Also, we have a Facebook page. Once in a while we'll visit, but we'll be around sometime there, and it's called Force In Unison Gaming. And finally, and Dantes says finally, go to chiguerosnews.com and give some clicks and love to my boy Caliones. With all that said, Caliones, let's start with the first piece of news. And the reason I put it first, before we got into State of Decay, I did wanted to give some props to Microsoft. Rare when I do it, but hey, credit is credit's due. Go ahead, Caliones, and take it away with the first piece of news.
Well, and props indeed. Microsoft has announced that they have a new Xbox adaptive controller. The controller is going to be accessible, or it's going to be give access to more people that may have certain disabilities and are not are not able to play games the conventional way, especially by holding the controller, pressing all the buttons. So the adaptive controller is going to come out later this year. It does have a retail price of $99.99, but this is how Phil Spencer describes the controller, and he says that the adaptive controller is a journey of inclusive design which celebrates and draws inspiration from people who are often overlooked in the typical design process. So yes, one of the things that we always hear people talk about is that, okay, so how this game doesn't use the the conventional controller, or during the Wii era, Wii U, where like why is the game not using like the Pro controller where you have all the buttons and stuff? But I mean, to be completely fair, not everybody may have the I guess the necessary well, the a way to be able to hold it properly, to press the button properly, and that crowd can be alienated from being able to play games like I guess most of the developers usually design them. So I'm glad that Microsoft is finding a way to having that crowd that is often overlooked, and to bring them in to enjoy games close to how everybody else enjoys. That way they can enjoy more games. And I mean, in a way, of course, by having that crowd is of course is going to bring more profit to the company. They're going to expand the crowd. They're going to have a bigger piece of the pie, especially if they're the first ones jumping in. But to tell you the truth, putting money and profits aside, I'm glad that they are taking a chance in doing this for those people.
I agree 100%, Colin. Credit's due. Take away the fanboy, take away the console war, put her in the trash right now. This is a good controller for a lot of gamers who were gamers. Give you an example, maybe people that went to war and fought for this country and lost a limb, right? This could be a controller for them, or someone who just lost a limb because of a condition, right? Diabetes or X, Y, and Z, whatever that they could have created. You be disabled at this point. You can play games again and enjoy this hobby that me and Caliones and everybody in the chat loves, and everybody deserves to play this hobby. We love it for a reason. It takes you away. It's better than movies, in my opinion. Now I barely watch TV now, because my small free time is to play games, because I feel games take me to where TVs and movies used to take me. So I am really proud of Microsoft for this. I think, like Caliana said, this is going to expand the crowd. It's going to help people. Microsoft, I give crap to Microsoft, because Microsoft did a lot of crap that I hated on the 360 era, and that's why I am not a fan of Microsoft at all. And stuff like still lingers. I'm not denying it, but you can see that again, why competition is good, Caliones, is because when you get your ass kicked, you have to work towards being more customer friendly, consumer friendly. You saw it with backwards compatibility. You saw it, they changing everything about Xbox Live, where, Netflix is not anymore behind a paywall. They also put in a similar approach to Sony games for gold with your subscription. So at least you're getting something. You're getting some value of paying for online, which is something I always gave crap to Microsoft. And of course, this, I think, is their best move. Backwards compatibility and the other stuff, they were just getting with the times, with the other competitions, but this is the best move that they done. I am proud of Microsoft. I don't want to give them a lot of credit. That's why I put it first before we went to State of Decay, because I know that that's not so much good news, but that's gaming. This is different, and I just wanted to say, Uncle Phil, congrats on this one.
Yeah, and I believe this is something that, for example, Nintendo could easily do, or they can, pretty much do how they have the system right now. So let's, talk about the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch does have the Joy-Cons. It does support the motion controls. It does have the touchscreen as well. But something that Nintendo is not doing is allowing people to fully customize, what buttons you press, what those buttons do. If they allow people to do that, then they would be able to make the system more accessible to even more people as well, or to people with disabilities. So hopefully this is something that Nintendo takes away from Microsoft, and they allow people to fully customize the controls on the system, the touchscreen, or the touch portion on the system, so that they can use the system as well, for the other persons with disabilities.
Yep, agree 100%. So this is good. Good job, Microsoft. Before we go to the next piece of news, I think Okami had a quick question. What is the most hype mode for Call of Duty? I would say right now the most hype mode is Battle Royale. It's just to see how they spin it to compete with Fortnite and PUBG. But my concern is it's going to be a microtransaction mess. But we shall see. We shall see, Okami. Anyway, Cariones, now let's go with a little bit of bad news of Microsoft, and I'll put a little bit of trailer for State of Decay while you discuss the next piece of news.
Okay, so the next piece of news, of course, we're talking about State of Decay 2. The game did release on the 18th, 2 days ago, and we've had, so far, and this is going by Metacritic. They have 49 critic reviews on the website, and the game currently has a 68% on Metacritic. 68, basically they're on the yellow, and overall they've had 22 positive reviews, 24 mixed reviews, and 3 negative reviews. So basically, the game seems to be a subpar experience. I know that they originally stated that by having the game price lower, it wasn't because it wasn't a AAA experience. The game was indeed a AAA experience, and them having it available for Game Pass didn't take away from the game. But the consensus on it is that there is a good game hidden there, but there are so many bugs that are hampering the experience, and that's what's killing the game right now. It seems like the game could have benefited from more development, like spending more, development time on it and, cleaning it up. So,
Yep.
what are your thoughts on the game, Dantes?
I have to give credit. This is one game that I'm really interested in. I'm not gonna play it honestly because I got so much background, or backlog. But if there was an Xbox game, this game looks fun in the sense that you're trying to survive. You're building your camp. You're trying to go on there, get supplies. You play with others. You're trying to build a community where you just basically surviving this environment. So it looks good game. I think to your point, Kalian, is what's killing this game is that it's just a lot of bugs. And maybe this game, like you stated, would have benefited from a longer development cycle, right? And I think what's going on, Kalian, and I don't know if that's the case, but I think what's going on is Microsoft knows it's hurting for games and he's trying to push what they have as soon as possible because then it's going to show. If they delay more games, it's going to show like almost like 3 years with no games, Caliones. And I think that looks really bad. If it wasn't for Cuphead right now, Microsoft first-party lineup, or let's just say exclusives, would have been awful. Awful, 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 awful. But they have to do what they have to do. They have to push it out. They have to say that we have games and Game Pass. It's maybe giving a Microsoft a reason. I don't think that's the case. Let me clarify. I don't think that's the case. I think Microsoft is really trying to put good games. But Game Pass is giving them a reason for saying, oh, you're only paying $10 for the game if you buy Game Pass. So if there's a couple of bugs, who cares? We'll patch it up. We'll make it better. And in a couple of months, when you re-up for Game Pass and you try the game again, it's going to be awesome. I'm not saying they're doing that. Let me clarify. I think that sounds stupid. But Game Pass does give them an out a little bit more in these games having so buggy, having so much problems, where they are like not so much of an effort to make sure that it's as polished. I don't think that's the case because, again, Microsoft is not the developer. This is a second-party game, to clarify. But it would have benefited from a longer development cycle because the concept is there. And a lot of people keep saying that the game is fun. Different from Sea of Thieves, that there was no content in the game. No, this game, there's content. In this game, if you play it alone, you're going to have a lot of fun with the game. But co-op was the big selling point. Co-op not working when it was one of your biggest selling point is not acceptable, Caliones. Even if it's on Game Pass, even if you're paying $10. So that's the only bad part of Game Pass is Game Pass starting to devalue some of the games. That's the question that I bring to you, but also I'll let you your opinion on State of Decay.
Well, I believe that the problem with Game Pass right now is that it feels like it's allowing developers to release the game earlier than they're supposed to because they know that people are going to get the subscription, they're going to play the game, but they have an excuse to kind of like develop more time, to fix certain things. Like we saw it with Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves was a game that if you play it the first day, you kind of got the full experience of what you were going to get on the game, which is, just run, capture animals, fight skeletons, look for, sunken ships, get treasure chests, and doing the same thing over and over and over again. The water on the game looks beautiful. At first, the exploration is great, but there wasn't really else, much, to do on it. So in a day or two, you already had the full experience, and you had no reason to, continue playing unless you really wanted to grind and grind and grind to collect everything and become a pirate king. And even doing that, it wasn't really, something worthwhile, and there was no end game to it either. So. There was no incentive to, really to continue playing it. But of course, they're going to do, continue doing updates and things like that, and which is going to make it better. Another example is, for example, like, No Man's Sky. So No Man's Sky is going to be releasing soon, and that's it's going to be called No Man's Sky Next. It's going to be coming out for the Xbox One as well, and it's going to launch with multiplayer. So you're going to be able to finally team up with with other players, go attack other players, or just like create your civilization if you want to. So That's something that was offered initially with No Man's Sky, and it's taken 2 years for it to be implemented. So what I'm worried about is that with the Game Pass and things like that, which of course, No Man's Sky is from Sony. It was a Sony exclusive for the first 2 years. It had no Game Pass or anything like that, but it was at 1999 game sold as a like a AAA $60 game with a bunch of missing features that were promised. And I feel like that's what's happening with State of Decay. That's what's happening State of Decay 2, and that's what's happening with Sea of Thieves as well, where they're not completing the game because they kind of have an excuse that they're either selling it cheaper or that they're offering it for free with Game Pass. So I think that's in a way devaluing the game a little. Um, but once Microsoft starts releasing games like Gears of War, Halo, and hopefully those are going to be 90 plus rated games. That's going to be great value for the Game Pass. So we'll see. Right now, the value is not really there.
Yeah, it kind of feels like Netflix in the early days where you just had like a lot of crap there, B movies and stuff like that. That's what's happening with Game Pass a little bit. Also, at the same time about No Man's Sky, right? You saw that Sony learned from No Man's Sky. After No Man's Sky, they did not hype any other game like they did with No Man's Sky. And they said, look, we cannot do this again. We have to make sure that we have the trust. And then, you see the change in Sony where they shorted the announcements instead of 4 years ahead of time. It's 2 now, so that's better at least. So you can see that. And hopefully Microsoft is seeing all this bad press that they're getting right now. Because the problem is, it's just bad timing. You got God of War. Came out. Destroyed everything that is on right now. Sony already also had another 90 plus Metacritic score this year with Shadow of the Colossus, regarded one of the best games too on PlayStation 4. Awesome remake. And then Microsoft 2 games that they put out as being Sea of Thieves and State of Decay. It just looks bad. That's the bad part. I'm not trying to put them. I know I'm a Sony fan and I'm putting it in their face, but the optics are there, Calionis. The optics, you can see how bad it looks when Sony's delivering 90 plus games this year. Microsoft's delivering 69 and 68. And typically, I'm fine with 69. But for a game, I don't think that's the best approach to take, right? So anyway, Microsoft, hopefully you can get your crap together because you're killing it on the hardware. I'm going to give you that. You're killing it on the hardware. You were able to deliver an Xbox One X, $500 for that power. I think that's pretty good value. And then, you just open and made an awesome controller for disabled people. Props to you. So you're destroying it in the hardware. You're destroying in the services. If you think about it, fanboy aside, Microsoft is beating PlayStation on everything except games. But every service-related, Xbox Live, Game Pass is way better than PlayStation Now, backwards compatibility, and then the strongest console, and then you have this controller for the Xbox One for accessibility for disabled people. Microsoft is really put them side to side. It's beating Sony and everything, except where it matters, Caliones, I think, and that's games, right? And that's where it hurts them. But in reality, Sony's always been like that. They've never been the top dog in services. Microsoft's always been the top dog in services in the industry, in my opinion, right? Aside that they're the only company who push online to pay for online, which I'm always gonna have a sore spot for them because PC gamers don't pay for Xbox games for online. We got X Gunner right now saying that he's tired of paying for Xbox Live on the chat. I understand, my friend, because when you see other people getting it for free, you're like, really? Really? Anyway, my rant is over. Unless you want to add anything, Calamas, we can move to the next piece of news.
Well, actually, what I'm going to add is this. Doesn't it feel like that maybe Microsoft is releasing games like, Sea of Thieves and State of Decay 2 now before E3 because these are games that they feel like may not be up to up to par with PlayStation's offerings, Nintendo's offerings, but they have something big cooking at E3 because I feel like this is something that we've been talking about. We feel like Microsoft is probably going to win E3. Microsoft is going to have big announcements, mostly because they've held so many information about so many games. We haven't seen anything from them. And they're holding everything for E3. So the release of State of Decay 2 is kind of like just to rush it off and take it off the plate because they have bigger things coming. And I feel bad for State of Decay 2 fans because they have a buggy mess right now. But it feels like they're kind of like brushing this to the side and just trying to concentrate fully on E3 and all the releases that they will have, from E3 until the holiday season. So,
Yep.
so I feel like that's what they're preparing for.
Yep, they have to. And we're going to talk about it, guys. So in the next couple of weeks, we'll announce our E3 special. So come on, join us and have a discussion on what do you think is going to be the biggest news this year's E3. But anyway, Cariones, let's go to the next piece of news.
Okay, well, next one is that Boss Key Productions co-founder Cliff Bleszinski has announced the studio's closure. So, this is the same developers that they released the Lawbreakers, which is like one of those games that people were making fun of because it was down to like 10 players.
Call of Duty was next. My bad.
No, it's well, at least not on this one. I may have.
Oh, okay.
Keep going. It's off. It's
I'm just saying, Okami is hyped for the Call of Duty rant, so I just wanted to make sure that we don't miss it for him.
No, we're not gonna miss it. We're gonna cover it up. Oh, no, cover it up. No, cover it. But yeah, I mean, remember Lawbreakers?
You're right. I have it later. It's my fault. It's on me. That's on me.
But yeah, I mean, Lawbreakers didn't do any good for them. They were down to like 10 players, and it felt like those were the 10 people from the company itself that they ran the kind of like the quality control playing it. So there was the game had nobody on there. And then they released Radical Height, which was a mixture of like Grand Theft Auto Vice City with Battle Royale and I mean a bunch of other things. Like and using ATMs to cash in and all. So the game tanked. And they finally announced that they were going to be closing the studios. It's not really a surprise at all because they were not able to have that big hit to be able to fund the company and continue it. But some of the things that were missed from this is that after they closed, he did release a couple of tweets with images about games that they were considering. One of them was like a samurai riding a dragon type game, and which the concepts look great, but it's something that they never got around to work on. So it's kind of sad that they're closing, but it's understandable because they did have such a rocky last 2 years or so.
Yep. So the games that they were making were not for me. They were trying to get the next Overwatch, but let me not offend Cliff because he hated when people compare his game to Overwatch, right? But they were trying to get to the movement. They were trying to find the next big multiplayer game to make money. That's why people over here. And that's the bad part because here's what I'm going to say, Carlos. If you're a new studio and you want to get noticed, would you want to do something that the big AAA publisher's trying to do? Or would you rather be an independent studio and do a Hellblade and impress the industry with a small single player game, build some money, and then you can try to separate your teams in two, and then you could be making your next big multiplayer game, but still give those quality single player experiences that the industry is trying to drive away, but the Nintendos and Sonys are keeping alive, right? And that's my problem with Cliff is he was a big hit with Gear, but Gears, first and foremost, even though he had a great multiplayer, he had a good lore and a good storyline that built a good fan base, right? And again, to me, they were just trying to find the next big multiplayer game. When the full AAA industry is doing the same thing, your game is not going to stand out. I would have rather see them build something unique so you can stand out, build some money, and then you can try to make the company bigger later on, in my opinion. But I don't know, anything to add, Carlos?
Yeah, I feel like the biggest mistake from them was that they, instead of trying to be more creative and come up with their own things, they just decided to follow industry trends. So they go ahead and do Lawbreakers because you have Overwatch, you have Paladins, and you have those games, and then it completely tanks because people are not really looking to play any other ones outside from the 5, 6, 7, 10, 20, whatever, because it felt like everybody was making an Overwatch type game when it first came out. Yep. Then you have the next one, and it's pretty much the same thing. So they go from lawbreakers, and they decided to move over to the battle royale type mode. And you already have PUBG, but you have Fortnite, and Fortnite right now is the one that's running over everything. Pretty much. It's I think it's we're gonna announce that it's gonna be moving on shortly to smartphones in the summer for Android, but it's like the game is big everywhere it goes. And a game like Radical Heights, it wasn't really bringing anything new for people to really notice it or decide to play it. So they just follow industry trends instead of come up with their own ideas and their own flavor, and that's where they really failed.
Yep, that's what I think too. It's be unique, and then you'll have your Hellblade, and then Ninja Theory right now is I would say coming back from the last games that they had trouble with and being a good studio again. So you never know. Go ahead, Caliones, with the next piece of news, and then this one's gonna hurt.
Yeah, this one hurts really bad.
It hurts my wallet.
And it's that Best Buy has killed off the Gamers Club discounts. This was effective yesterday. Basically out of nowhere, they started, spreading the news over on Reddit, over in Reset Era, Twitter, everywhere, that they were telling Best Buy employees to remove any signage, any paperwork, anything that showed the gamers discount, to go ahead and take it away. And they took the discounting away from the websites as well. So for those people that do not have the Gamers Club discount, or that it has already expired, you're going to be completely out of luck, because you cannot renew your membership or get the membership, because it's completely gone. So that 20% discount on new games, or even on games that were already discounted, so a game that's on clearance, a game that's on a special discount for that week, you could still get the 20% over that other discount. So that's going to be gone. I know that a couple of months ago, Amazon started doing it for games. You had to, I think, up until like 2 weeks before the game came out, where you can get the 20% discount, and then you can no longer get it. Before, it was at any time, even on games that were already out, but they took that away. But Best Buy has taken it out completely. A little bit, I'll say it's a little bit bittersweet, because I just renewed my Gamers Club in March.
Oh, you lucky SOV.
So mine is going to expire on March 2020. So I'm still going to have it for another 2 years.
Oh, you lucky SOV, because mine expire, I already checked after this news came out. Mine expires in February of next year. So yeah. I only have like a 6 months to go. I was wishing that I could have renewed it this year, so I had the full 2 years. So you're lucky, dude. You have 2 more years for to enjoy the savings. So you're not crying as much as I'm gonna cry, because I had completely canceled GameStop. I wasn't even reserving on GameStop. I was getting more games now because of Gamer Club. So I think Best Buy is making a huge mistake. But sorry, go ahead. You were gonna say something to finish.
Well, I was gonna say, like, the same way that we were talking about the Nintendo Switch Online Family Plan. We can work something out with the Gamers Club discount as well.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do something like that. Like, if you need to reserve games for me, and then send them my way, and then we'll work it out. But yeah, I mean, this is sad news. It's sad news, because this is great offer. This was making me buy everything in Best Buy. This was making me reserve everything in Best Buy. So I think they're gonna lose some clientele, Caliones, where they're now not going to reserve the games on Best Buy. But at the same time, we don't know if they were losing too much money too, right? And maybe they were losing money because giving those discounts, the $30 for 2 years wasn't enough. But they could have come back and switched it to, I would have paid $30 per year, Caliones, right? So I would have paid it. I think $30 per year was a great offer, and because I buy enough games in the year that I know I would have got that money or close to it back. So my point to that is that they could have switched it, and maybe they're gonna find something better, because they know that that's a popular product. But at the same time, this could be pressure from the developers too. This could be pressure from the industry, that they're saying that the industry is trying to push you to a digital world, Caliones. And Best Buy having a service like this is keeping physical game media alive, right? And it's keeping it, and they could have come out, Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo, everybody could be, and Ubisoft and EA. Everybody like, Best Buy, you need to stop doing that crap. We'll give our offers on online on games, so you can order them, download them, and stuff like that. The industry wants a digital future so bad that I wouldn't be surprised if came from pressure from the industry, Caliones, that they were pushing, and Best Buy had to do something. But at the same time, I'm making assumptions here. At the same time, it could be the Best Buy was losing money, but they could have come up with a better deal, something different, a new package. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I guess I'm looking from the industry side. So, whenever you work out, like I used to work against that, but you don't really see how much companies are paying for the games. But I actually did. I lived for for like 4 months, 4 or 5 months over at Brooklyn, New York. This was back in maybe like '06. I was there for like 4 or 5 months. I worked for a chain of video game stores called Game Champs, and they were, like family owned. So it wasn't like a, big retail company or anything like that. But we would see the inventory in our store. We would see like how many games, which new games were coming out. We would place the orders, for those games, and we would see how much we paid for those. So normally when it came to like new Sony games, new Xbox games, new Nintendo games, we would pay around $35 for the game to get into our store, and then we would sell it at the full retail price. So normally we would make a profit of maybe like 20, 25 bucks on those. Buying them at 35, selling them for 60, and then the inventory that we didn't sell, we could technically ship it back to the company and get like a credit on those. So let's say Best Buy, it's a much bigger company, of course, like all over the US. So I'm pretty sure if they buy physical games, it's going to be less than $35. So if you put it at like $30, for example, and they're selling the games at 42, 43 because of the discount, 46, 47, the profit margin is not as big because, you have to consider shelf space. You have to put those games on the shelf. So that's keeping other electronics, other devices, or other things that they can place on there, or that they can have companies pay them to have featured their products in there. So that's taken away from that. And also, like you said, digital, it's really the way to go because digital is a full 100% profit for the video game companies, especially if they buy from their own, like e-stores, like the e-shop and such. So I feel like that's where companies are trying to head. That's what Microsoft really wanted to do at the beginning with the Xbox One, but until they got all the backlash. So I feel like for now, Best Buy is probably going to stay away from doing another discounting service like this one. You're still going to be able to accumulate points and get, like a gift card or things like that. So that's still going to happen. And if you haven't, if you still have this the subscription, you're still going to keep it until it expires. But I feel like that really brought a lot more people to the store, and like you said, were actually buying even more games that you normally would because you got that additional discount. So I feel like once they see that, they could probably reopen it again, or like you said, maybe instead of $30 for 2 years, maybe $30 per year, because that's still a great offer. 20% discount on new games or any game for $30 a year, that's great. I would have paid $30 a year for it. The $30 for 2 years was even better.
Yep, I agree. We shall see. Hopefully, Best Buy will reconsider or come up with something better, or maybe they won't because the industry, like I stated, it says they want to push the digital age as soon as possible. Anyway, Caliones, let's go into that Call of Duty now. I know peeps are clamoring for the Call of Duty, so let's do it. Go with the next piece of news.
Okay, so yeah, we're finally going to be talking about Call of Duty. They did have their big presentation about Call of Duty 4, Call of Duty Black Ops 4, and they did announce Blackout, which is going to be the new battle royale mode for the game. But what I really want to take the time to say is that, Marcus.
I got gameplay. You won't be able to see your plushie. So sorry. Wait till
Well,
the gameplay goes.
then I'll bring it later. Yeah, because I have a conversation with Marcus Sellers because he said that Call of Duty Black Ops 4 was going to be announced for the Switch. Then they said that the Battle Royale mode was going to be a separate Call of Duty game, and that one was going to be coming to the Switch. But Blackout, which is the Battle Royale mode, will be part of Black Ops 4, and there's no mention of Nintendo Switch anywhere. So it seems like,
well, they announced that they don't have any plans right now for the Switch.
yeah, and they specifically said there's no plans. Maybe they're waiting to announce it on Nintendo's presentation, or maybe it's not coming at all. But the indications right now is that no Call of Duty game will be coming over to the Switch. But about Battle Royale or Blackout on Call of Duty, it does feature an enormous map. The map is going to be comprised by different settings from all the different games. The characters themselves, they're going to be based on the different characters from the games, and you will be able to play the game through land, through sea, and through the air. So you're going to have vehicles that you can use as well. So that's going to be something that's going to give it like the Call of Duty touch to the Battle Royale. And they did say that they would not have done the Blackout or Battle Royale mode for Call of Duty if they didn't feel like they could bring something completely unique and completely new.
Okay, so let's start with Treyarch is the best Call of Duty developer, so I'm guessing the game is going to be good, right? So we know that. I'm not a Call of Duty guy, so I don't have much experience, but I think the biggest news out of this is that they took away the single-player experience. Now, they did give some data that supposedly only like 4% of Call of Duty players finish the campaign, but you have to understand, if they're looking at numbers just to finish, a lot of people also play it just to play a little bit and they don't finish the game, but they enjoy the big action pieces, everything that is planned when you do a single-player game. So Call of Duty is losing that, in my opinion. The whole, again, game with services where the big AAA companies like Activision and EA, they're looking for that. And they're completely, if they have their way, they want to eliminate the single-player games. And that's where my rant is coming, is that Activision is just laying the groundwork, being the first one saying, we're not going to put a campaign in this game. We're not going to do it. We don't care. We're giving you Battle Royale. Woo! But you don't take your campaign. Why don't you build a campaign and build the Battle Royale and you give a better package, because you're going to put microtransactions up the ass on this game. Why don't you sweet the deal, and why don't you make, just in case we're back at us, if you want to show your plushie, why make a better deal so when you pay $60, you not feel that you're getting ripped off because you're going to have a bunch of microtransactions. You know what I'm saying? And that's where this is heading. And a lot of people are saying, I'm out. I'm not buying Call of Duty this year because they're not going to have a single-player experience. And that's why now, more than ever, those gamers who used to say exclusives should not be in consoles. Right now, exclusives are the only thing saving single-player games and indie developers, right? So if it wasn't for indies and exclusives from Nintendo and Sony right now, we would be in this world where we were just jumping around like jackasses, buying microtransactions and then fighting against each other because all games would be game for services. Because if EA had their way, if Activision had their way, and all those big AAA, like my friend Jim Sterling say, well, I wish he was my friend, but AAA exclusive, AAA games from these companies, we would be in this crazy world right now. And I am happy right now to be a Nintendo gamer, to be a Sony gamer, because they're giving me the games that I want, which are single player experiences, big AAA single player experiences that I'm not getting from these companies, because I used to buy games from them. Like I bought from EA Dante's Inferno, a God of War clone, but it was fun as hell. A lot of people did not give it credit, but again, I bought it because, again, a single player experience. Dead Space, another big EA single player experience that EA thought that they were going to make billions and millions of dollars because that's what they were looking for. But they were not happy enough for just making a profit. You know what I'm saying? You need to build single player experiences next to your, well, and of course, you know the story about EA canceling the Star Wars game, which sucks from the person who created Uncharted. You know what I said? Who doesn't want to play a Star Wars game from Miss Henning? That's just crazy. So anyway, that's my rant. Sucks that they took away the single player experience. But the game is going to sell millions and millions. People are going to be playing multiplayer, and the Battle Royale, if done right, and they don't try to push microtransaction up your ass, you have to do it like Fortnite. Fortnite is a household name because you can play the game without playing for microtransactions. But once you get in the loop, then you start playing. You may buy some. The game is free. So if you want to spend some money, I'm okay with microtransactions on free games because they're free. But it's better when the game is even free and they don't force you to do it. But when you build a loyal fan base, you're going to get your money back triple time. So, again, the concern is that Call of Duty is just going to become a microtransaction mess with the Battle Royale. I know Kami's pumped. He wants to play it. But he said if it's a first-person Battle Royale game, he's done forever. He's not coming back out of his room ever again. But a lot of people may be happy. A lot of people are going to enjoy that game. But you're going to lose part of your fan base, Activision, because you did not give them their single-player, big Call of Duty campaign. Anyway, that was my rant, Caliones. Go ahead if you had anything to add.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I believe Fortnite is doing it the right way because, I mean, they do have, what you call microtransaction, but they also allow you to to use what they call V-Bucks, and you can earn V-Bucks while playing the game, and you can use those V-Bucks to buy certain things. So, I mean, there's certain players that they may want a bigger amount of V-Bucks so they can level up faster and get certain things, and they can pay for that, but it actually doesn't change anything from the game itself. So it's not like it gives you a competitive advantage when you're playing against other players. It's just cosmetics. It's just having different emotes, different character looks, different dances or things like that. So it's nothing that gives you better ammo, better guns, and things like that. So there's no competitive advantage when it comes to Fortnite. And I hope that Blackout is going to be the same thing for on Call of Duty Black Ops 4, where there won't be any competitive advantage or any loot boxes, and if there are loot boxes, they won't bring any competitive advantage for the players. So everything will be cosmetics, and people they go crazy with cosmetics and stuff, or people just love to collect every single thing, and that's where they're going to be spending the money on. But hopefully they do it the right way, and it's not by giving certain players the ability to basically pay their way into being superior to other people.
You as a Nintendo fan, Caliones, what's your rate, or what percentage would you give the game a chance to come to the Switch?
Fortnite?
No, I'm talking about Call of Duty.
Call of Duty? Well,
no, Fortnite, I think that's going to be a big reveal at E3. Don't take my prediction away. I was going to give that prediction to it, but
my good friend Marcus Sellers said that Call of Duty Black Ops 4 coming over to the Switch was a given, that it was going to be coming over, but they announced the game first and made absolutely no mention of the Switch. Now they had the big conference where they even showed, the zombie mode, they showed Blackout and all of that. And they said they have no plans for the Nintendo Switch, and this includes the Battle Royale mode. So what is it, Marcus? Is it really coming? Is it not coming at all? Were you just making it up just so you could get additional likes and additional followers? So, Mr. Insider, please let us know, okay?
I guess we shall see if the game is coming up to the Switch. But with that said, I give it like 10% maybe a chance. But since Fortnite is coming to the Switch, and I believe it is coming to the Switch, and that was going to be one of my predictions, unless Caliones takes it from me during our prediction special. I believe that Nintendo fans should be fine. They will survive. And at the same time, hopefully, the game is going to be good enough that they can justify Caliones not having a single player experience in the game. Anyway, Caliones, with that said, unless you want to add something, let's move to the next piece of news.
Well, and I feel like, we've only covered a couple of news, and we're already at like 45 minutes. But this
big show today.
It's going to give you a lot of to talk about, especially to you. And this is that Sony appears to be ending the production of the physical game cards for the PS Vita. So that means that yes, I mean the Vita wasn't really selling outside of Japan, but in Japan it was still doing pretty decent, pretty good with certain games. We saw that, saw it with a couple of releases, in the last, couple of weeks, couple of months, and where the PS Vita was still charting when it came to, Famitsu and those sales charts. So with the Vita ending game card support, or Sony ending game card support for the Vita, does that mean that Sony is finally done with the Vita?
Bum bum ba bum bum ba bum ba bum ba bum. I think it's over, Caliones. The Vita is over. It is what it is. I I bought the Vita when it came out. And I think I bought physically like maybe 5 games in total, Caliones. Let me count. Gravity Rush, Uncharted, Takeaway, what's it called? Takeaway, whatever. That's it, I think. Let me see. No, 4. 4 physical games. 4 physical games for my Vita. Most of the games, because Sony stopped doing big games on the Vita, right? This is the promise that the Switch is filling. Sony promised that, but they didn't fulfill it. So it became the indies were the ones who filled the Vita with good stuff, like your Guacamelee, like your I'm forgetting names today, guys. I guess it's Sunday. Escape Plan. Games like that, smaller titles, Oceanhorn. Keep going. Smaller titles like that fill the Vita with good stuff, right?
Even Gravity Rush.
But Gravity Rush it was a big game. I'm talking about the smaller games, that it was a digital only game. So most of the time, what you were doing were buying games digitally and downloading to the game. So probably Sony's looking at the numbers and saying, well, the Vita's not dead. It's kind of dead, but it's not dead. But a lot of people are buying because the support is coming from the indies. A lot of people are just buying the indie games and downloading them and not buying the physical games. Now, Sony is ending the Vita physical production for games, but that doesn't mean that third party, like your Persona, your Atlas, if Persona 5 Golden comes out, just give you an example, I'm not sure, but they would not still sell you the physical game. The article, if you clearly read it, says Sony is ending physical, so that means that you're not gonna find Gravity Rush anymore on your on physically. You're not gonna find Uncharted. You're not gonna find. So my point to that is that you still can get those games digitally, but you're just not gonna find it. But that doesn't mean the third party is still not gonna make games. It's still not gonna have special editions that they're gonna come out with a physical version. The Japanese gamers are still buying RPGs for the Vita, and the US gamers too. So, but like I told Caliones earlier before the show started, that a lot of people migrated to the Switch now. So I expect those games coming to the Switch now. So I think, to me, the Vita was already dead way before that, Caliones. I am not a mobile gamer. I'm not. I don't take my 3DS. I don't take my Vita. The Switch, it's just really cool to grind, but it's not like I go out and play. When I'm out, I'm out. I'm not playing games when I'm out. When I get home, it's when I play games, right? So for me, I'm a different gamer. But for those gamers who needed a portable system to play games because they don't have time to play at home, I understand that you're crying, but the Vita is dead. Deal with it. I get a Switch or a 3DS, whatever, and go from there.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the perfect transition, or the natural transition, is that for the Vita owners to be moving over to the Switch, and we're already seeing that. We're seeing games like this Gaia, for example, which is, it has a natural home on the Switch, and this is coming from from a game that like was available on those systems as well. So we're going to continue seeing games, Japanese Vita type games coming over to the Switch. Hopefully, it will still be available on PlayStation, 4 as well for those people. But it just feels natural that people that enjoy playing games on the Vita will be playing it over on the Switch.
Yep, and that's fine. I'm okay with that because the Vita, again, was never a big deal to me. So I thought we were gonna get games like Uncharted when the Vita came out. That was gonna be a continuation, but that Sony stopped it because then the PlayStation became a juggernaut, and Sony has never done a good job supporting two platforms. And Nintendo, to their defense, they've done a pretty good job, but now they're noticing that they cannot keep up either. So they're focusing more on the Switch than on the 3DS, and you can see it. It's better to support one platform fully than having a split your audience anyway. But with that said, Caliones, let's do a little bit of news burst. We're gonna bring it over here because it's 50 minutes and we still have halfway to go through. So let's kick it into high gear, Caliones. You're muted, I think.
Okay. So we're gonna go with the first piece of I feel like this is getting to get out trying to do the news burst, but the first one is that Hideo Kojima has confirmed that a new Death Stranding trailer will be shown at E3. And this is just yet another trailer. Hopefully, he's going to have gameplay involved as well. And we did see a couple of tweets from him where he's showed or he's had pictures of him being on the cutting, doing the trailer and everything like that. So it's not really a surprise to see a trailer. Hopefully, we'll see a playable game. So, Dantes, do you want to see another trailer?
No, playable game, Mr. Kojima. I do not want to see a trailer. Really, that's what I'm concerned about this piece of news. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to see a trailer. No, I want to see the game. And they better deliver the game because I'm going to take points away from Sony's E3 if they just show a trailer for Death Stranding.
Yeah. Hideo Kojima is, like I said, the biggest twist of it all is going to be if everything that we've seen so far was actually gameplay after all, and not just
it's a childbirth simulator. Anyway, yes. Go ahead, Kali. That's the next one.
Okay, next one is that Kingdom Hearts 3 director Tetsuya Nomura says that the release date reveal is expected early next month. Of course, what do we have early next month, Dantes?
E3.
We have E3, so
yep.
So it's going to be natural, for us to see the release date by them, or for the game by that date. So it's been years and years and years, and I'm okay. You know what? Because from the first time that we saw this game to how it looks now, the game looks amazing. The particle effects, the graphics, everything. Even the battle system has improved from the first time that they showed it. So even though we've had to wait so many years for it to come out, but it seems like they put the time, they put the effort, and the game has benefited greatly from being technically quote unquote delayed, even though they never really said or set an official release date for it.
The only thing I'm gonna say is, hey, at least I give credit to Square Enix. It didn't took him 10 years. It only took him 5, but I think that's a win. But the game looks great. I'm excited. I did read some of the previews. Some people are saying it still controls like an old PlayStation 2 game. I think that's just going to be the charm of playing a Kingdom Hearts game. It's going to control the same. But the graphics look great and the gameplay was fun. So that's good. And the screenshots that I saw looks great. So I'm excited. Hopefully the game will come out this year. They're saying that it's going to come out this year. My concern really is that it's going to come out in a period of time where it's going to get drowned with all the big games. I honestly prefer the Square would delay it to first quarter of next year if they have to, but because fourth quarter this year is already stacked, Caliones.
Yeah. Well, then the next piece of news is that the PS4 dominates the Ubisoft sales once again, and this is in comparison to the Xbox One, PC, and the Nintendo Switch. They did have the breakdown of the sales of the last 12 months. And basically it was 42% for the PS4, 23% for Xbox One, 18% for PC, 7% for Switch, then 2% for 360, PS3, Wii, and Wii U together, and 8% for others, which does include smartphones as well. I do want to say, as a Nintendo fan, that is kind of misleading because this only counts the releases of Just Dance and of Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. It doesn't count, for example, like the South Park release because it came out after their quarter was over, so it's not counting. And with only 2 releases, and for the Switch to have 7%, it's actually pretty good. And that's considering because some of the biggest money makers for Ubisoft right now are Rainbow Six, and Rainbow Six is a game that released, I think, back in 2016, and it's still making them money. And Ghost Recon Wildlands is another game that is making them money as well. And by the end of 2016, before getting in 2017, they had Watch Dogs 2 release as well. So that was another one making them money as well. And of course, like most of the biggest releases that they had never came over to the Switch. So I want to say, I mean, PlayStation 4, it's the system of choice for Ubisoft games, but I'm proud of the Nintendo Switch and how it did.
I don't think you need to worry about the performance of the Switch in the sense that they just need to bring more games to the Switch and see the value. And I think Ubisoft is happy with the sales. They were not happy with the sales of the Wii U. And the reason I'm telling you that is because a lot of the games were brought over or they were supposed to be exclusives and then they changed it. If they didn't thought highly of the Switch, they would not have done Mario and Rabbids. So I think you should be fine. But the reason I brought this news too is to make people understand attach rate does not matter, because in a sense, if you think about it, with the population of the PlayStation, that's a bad attach rate in a sense, percentage wise against the edit. But what Ubisoft cares about is that 42% of the revenue came from the PlayStation console, and that's what Sony cares about. I always tell you guys, is Sony doesn't care how many consoles they sold. They care about software sales. And last gen, they lost against Xbox, even though they did became the second most selling console at the tail end. The software sales were won by Xbox, and that tells me that they won the generation. It is what it is. I accept it as a Sony fan. What matters to these systems and these console makers is selling software. That's where they make the money. And I think Sony and Ubisoft are happy with the sales. And I think if this percentage ever switches, that's where you can see Sony concerned. But right now, this is not only from Ubisoft. This is the trend is the same across the board on all platform holders, except indies. Indies, I know they're selling more on the Switch, but because the Switch is so perfect for the smaller games that you take on the go. So anyway, just wanted to give a little bit of history lessons. Why I keep saying attach rate doesn't matter. What matters is how much you sold. That's what companies care. Go ahead, Karen.
Okay, going over with the next piece of news is that Fortnite is coming to Android this summer, and that there's going to be even more updates to the game. Some of those updates are going to include, and which is already available on the iOS version, that you can completely customize the HUD or the HUD of the game, and also that they're going to be working with voice chat where you can hear everybody talking, or if you're in proximity to another player, even if they're not in your party, that you can hear them talk, or that you can mute one specific person, various persons, everybody, or just talk among whoever is in your party. So they're going to be including those as well. I don't know how annoying it's going to be listening to all those little digs that are going to be playing the game, and how many of those I'm going to have to mute, but they continue to improve the game, and with it being available on Android, once again, it makes it easier to port it to a certain console. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Honestly, I'm gonna say I'm with you. When I play online, even when I was playing The Last of Us and stuff like that, I mute everybody. I don't want to hear anybody. To me, everybody's an NPC. The only person that I used to play with, my own brother Roger, we would play Last of Us and we were talking to each other on the cell phone because I didn't want to talk to other people. So aside from that, that's going to be crazy. But hey, good for Fortnite. Not much to say. I have not much knowledge, so go ahead, Carlos, with the next one.
Okay, next piece of news. And this is one that we just keep talking over and over again. Grand Theft Auto 5 has shipped over 95 million units of the game. And this is as of March 31st of this year. So it was 90 million units in February. They shipped another 5 million units in March. And it seems like, I mean, this is the Minecraft of the new generation. It's like one of those games that it never is like one of those evergreen titles that it never stops selling. So it seems like at the end of the day, this is going to be up there with like Minecraft, like Tetris, the original Super Mario games, sales wise, because there's no end in sight for it.
Congrats. Not much to say. It's a juggernaut. Go ahead, Carlos, with the next one.
Okay, well, another one is that Take-Two delays highly anticipated game to fiscal year 2020, and they also expect record year due to Red Dead Redemption 2. So basically, they were stating that, Red Dead Redemption 2, they expect them to make them a whole, boatload of money. And if they do the online portion like they have done with Grand Theft Auto 5, I completely expect that that will be the case. They also included games like NBA 2K and the WWE 2K games to go ahead and help on those profits as well. Of course, they continue to receive profits from the Grand Theft Auto Online, which continues to add to it. And as far as the game that has been delayed to 2020, that is Borderlands 3. So Borderlands is the game that you will have to wait another 2 years to be able to play.
It's going to make a lot of money because of what you stated. They're going to follow the Grand Theft Auto 5 approach, which is sad, and that's why I don't play their games. It is what it is, Caliones. I'll probably play Red Dead Redemption when it's on PC, but I'm not, just to play the single-player story, but I'm not going to be spending my time on multiplayer and microtransactions and crap like that. So anyway, it is what it is. They're going to make money.
Going over with the next one is that the Battlefield 5 reveal event will take place next week. It has been announced for May 23rd, and it will be live streamed through YouTube, Twitch. Other people, will be offering, streamings through it, maybe for it as well. And the stream is going to start at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. So for those of you that enjoy the Battlefield series, Battlefield 5 will be finally officially shown on May 23rd at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Cool. Yeah, how much to say? Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, next one
is
is
giving high gear right now. We're doing the burst. Go ahead, Carlos.
Okay, Shenmue 3 has been delayed to 2019 to polish the game to quote-unquote the high standards it deserves. This is something that, it's not surprising either. I know when the game was, first officially revealed, some people were complaining about how the characters' faces looked, and they did polish that, but it seems like it's going to take longer. For this, you have to understand that the game started as a Kickstarter, so it wasn't really, it didn't have the backing of a Microsoft, a Sony, or any of that. They were trying to do it themselves, but what I believe the main reason for the delay is that they want to make sure that they release that HD Shenmue 1 and 2 first and dedicate the time to that. Once that releases, then they'll go back to Shenmue 3 and worry about, releasing it on 2019.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I didn't even know that they were targeting 2018, to be honest. So they're saying that this has been a delay. It surprises me, but it is what it is. Hopefully it's gonna be a good game. I never play a Shenmue game, so I want to play the HD collection first, and after that I will decide if I want to go and play number 3.
Okay, going with the next piece of news is that Rage 2 guest release window in 2019. They did have, they released screenshots, they released a trailer for the game, information about vehicles, gameplays, and all of those. And it was because, they were kind of pressured to finally show the game because it leaked, before they wanted to announce it. So if you are a fan of Rage, you can go out there. There's, plenty of videos, screenshots, and information on the game before it was, it was supposed to be officially unveiled. And I expect that they wanted to really wait until E3, but somebody got ahead of them, so they had to release this information beforehand.
Supposedly Bethesda stated that wasn't the case, that this was the plan all along. I don't know if that's the truth or not, but Rage, I don't know, reminds me, they have some Mad Max in it, but of course this is from Avalanche Studios, the same studio who made Mad Max, the game, so they're gonna have some flavor for that. Looks fun, Caliones. I'm showing the trailer right now. Looks fun. I think it's gonna be a good hit for Bethesda, and Bethesda, give them to their credit, they're still supporting single-player AAA games. So I think you're going to have a good story with this game, and hopefully the game sells, because that shows that, again, single-player games still matter, Caliones. So that's why I'm even though I'm not a big first-person shooter fan, I'm hoping that the game sells because, again, it's a single-player game.
Well, and basically that's the last piece of news that we have for today is that Persona 5 has shipped 2.2 million units worldwide, and that I mean, like 2.2 million units. It's something that we were talking about, before the stream, and how you believe that that may or may not be, like what you expected. So, can you tell us, or tell the people a little bit what you expected from this game and what the 2.2 million units should mean for you?
So, they announced 2 million almost 6-7 months ago. So they only sold like 200,000 in that same period of time. Let me put it that way. I expected the game to hit 3 million at least, in my opinion. It's still a successful game, to clarify. Let me clarify. Let's put this in there. It's a successful sale. It's the biggest selling Persona 5 game of all time. But with the critical acclaim, I thought this was the coming out party for Persona to sell 3 million, 4 million. And bring JRPGs back to the promised land, right? And I wanted that. I wanted another Final Fantasy VII where it revolutionized the industry and the JRPGs are back and people are giving them a chance. 2.2 is still great sales, but it still means it's a niche product in a sense, kind of middle ground, niche but not niche, but to me it's still niche. The reason I say that is the game came out PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. So if you count 80, I'm just rounding. I know Sony hasn't got to 80, but let's just round it. Say 80 million, PlayStation 4, 80 million, PlayStation 3s. That's 160 million consoles out there. That's a big install base, Caliones, right? You would say that's great install base. You can do some numbers. Xenoblade Chronicles, only with around 20 million consoles out there, sold 1.3 on the Switch. Now, admittedly, Switch owners and Nintendo fans always buy the Nintendo games, and Xenoblade Chronicles is a Nintendo game, and Xenoblade has creeped up in popularity years and years and years. The niche has grown. We're still a cult, but it has grown. That people were starving for a new Xenoblade, a full story Xenoblade, because X was more of an MMO type of game. But so that's those scenarios. But I don't believe in attach rate, because I just stated that. I don't believe in attach rate. I'm just saying, if you compare those two, that I wish the numbers for Persona 5 were bigger, and that maybe I think it's time to maybe bring the Persona series to a little console called the Nintendo Switch. So.
Oh, and I mean, you did say that you really expected to make the move. It's not going to be Persona 5. You said it's going to be the Persona 5 Golden. That's my opinion. Which is going to be coming over. And it's only natural. It feels like they've already maximized the sales that they could achieve with the game. And I feel like this is the same thing that Capcom did with Monster Hunter. They maximized the sales that they could achieve from Monster Hunter World, and they said, you know what? We've already gotten everything that we could from it. Now we're ready to announce Monster Hunter Ultimate Generations for the Nintendo Switch, which is Double Cross, from the one that was released on the Switch in Japan. And they said, yeah, now we're ready to announce it and say that it's going to be coming out for the Europe and North America as well. So yeah, I feel like this is going to be the same thing. Like, because they maximize the sale, they are getting ready to make the Switch version available. Or this is just wishful thinking, but it is a game that has been critically acclaimed. It was on many lists of for Game of the Year as well. And it's one of those that people do this. It needs to be played. So hopefully it will be available. I don't have a PlayStation. I haven't been able to play it, but I really want to get my hands on it. I do have a consolation, which is it is a little similar in a way to Shin Megami Tensei, and with Shin Megami Tensei 5 coming over to the Switch, I could get a similar experience. But having Persona 5 Golden on the Switch would be amazing.
And Atlus has a great relationship with Nintendo, so all these Japanese companies are seeing the good sales that you see in Japan, at least for the Switch. It makes sense that all these games are gonna come to the Switch and PlayStation, right? And again, Xbox left out of the dust because they don't sell in Japan. That's pure and simple. And then and like I told Caliones the other day, it's still, if you notice, the West is kind of carrying the JRPGs a little bit more than Japan, and that's why I'm kind of surprised of the Japanese gamer not buying that much JRPGs anymore, where Ni no Kuni sells in the West, right? Xenoblade Chronicles sold way more in the West, and it is what it is. So, but you do have Switch owners in the West that are hungry for JRPGs. Like I told Caliones, and I told in the Vita news, those people migrated from the Vita to the Switch, and those people were big JRPG fans because the Vita was getting a lot of good JRPGs for a while. I expect that now that's gonna switch to the Vita, so they have that's gonna switch to the Switch, but they have migrated to the Switch now. So now is the time that I think, like a Persona 5 Golden, you see this Gaia, you see a G's or Wise or whatever it's called that Calino is gonna do a review for. The games like that are coming to the Switch because it just makes too damn sense for having those JRPGs on the Switch, Calino.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, it's it can be beneficial for both Nintendo owners and and for the company as well, because they can just, I mean, even make even more money for a game that is already made. You only have to optimize it for the system, but it will sell in Japan and outside of it as well. And maybe people would even be willing to double dip, even if they already have it for the PlayStation, because by having portable, you can put even more time on the game at your own leisure, because you can take it with you and just play whenever you have time available. And for RPGs, they can be a little bit grindy. So that will be a really good option to have for a game like this one. But with this, we are done with all the news for the week.
Over. And today's show was wonderful. But anyway, with that said and with that done, let's bring the band back to the game so we can close out the show in style, Caliones. I'm forgetting which button the band comes in. Number 1. Anyway, let's get it. Boom, boom, boom. Thank you, YouTube land, for watching Force In Unison Live, episode 29, right here at the Force In Unison gaming channel. Please remember to subscribe, like, and comment so you can make these two crazy MFers happy. Also remember, we do have a Nintendo podcast called the Get In and Get Out Nintendo Podcast, which you can get on SoundCloud and iTunes for free. Also, go to the description box below. Remember, PlayStation Mondays every Monday, streaming Wednesdays every Wednesdays, and of course, these two beautiful shows. Also, we do have a Facebook page called @Force In Unison Gaming. And finally, go to chiguerosnews.com and give some clicks and love to my boy Caliones. With all that said, long live gaming. See you guys.